Hello and welcome to a new video here on my channel here at commaik. For a good year, we were able to thoroughly test our inflatable hot tub, the MSpa Alpine. Now it's time to give some feedback about its use, maintenance, electricity costs, and water quality. If you want to know what conclusion I can draw, then stay tuned. We're starting in just a moment. The hot tub is designed for 4 people and is also sold under the name MSpa Alpine. The square side length is 158 centimeters by 158 centimeters with a side height of 86 centimeters. The interior dimensions are 118 centimeters by 118 centimeters and, of course, also 68 centimeters in height. However, the fill level is limited to about 45 centimeters. In total, you can fill it with 650 liters of water. The inflatable hot tub is relatively compact in design. The pump, the heating system and the bubble system are built into one of the side walls and are permanently connected to the pool, so there is no external filter. The water is drawn in on the inside through an opening in the wall, pumped through the heating element and returned to the pool through another hole. The cartridge filter is mounted in front of the inlet opening. The power supply is provided by a 220-volt Schuko plug, which has its own circuit breaker. This significantly reduces the risk of short circuits in the event of water contact. The pool can be set up within a few minutes using the integrated inflation function. All you need for this is a power connection. A protective cover equipped with child-safe quick-release fasteners is stretched over the pool and reliably protects the water from contamination. The inflatable whirlpool was purchased for the spa area in the basement and was also used there from autumn to early summer. It was only during the summer months that the pool was set up in the garden. After 3 months in the sunny area of the garden, I could not detect any fading, especially at the transition. From the cover to the whirlpool, I definitely would have noticed it. The UV protection seems to work. This is likely a significant factor, especially for those who use it outdoors for extended periods. However, in my opinion, a disadvantage is the increased amount of dirt entering the water. Despite showering before using the pool, there were noticeably more dirt particles and dust in the water than was the case when using it in the basement. This is something you shouldn't underestimate when it comes to water quality or cleanliness. However, the cover reliably protected the whirlpool. You could clearly see this from the deposits on the cover, which brings me to another point at this stage. The cover sags in the middle and dirt collects there. With the rainwater, it's also not that easy to remove the cover by yourself without letting the dirty water spill into the pool. You need at least 2 people for this. However, if the whirlpool is placed under an additional roof, this shouldn't be a problem. During the summer, the outside temperatures in the past year, 2021, were rather moderate. The maximum was just over 30 degrees on some days, which is far below the target of 38 degrees for the pool water. 2. To my surprise, the black pool, even though it was in the sun, did not heat up. I would have expected a greenhouse effect due to the dark color and the cover and therefore significantly higher water temperatures. In practice, however, the water temperature, even on a sunny day, was only just above the outside temperature. If you prefer it warmer, you'll have to turn on the heater. For a good 9 months of the year, we used the MSpa Alpine indoors, specifically in the basement of the house. To move it between locations, you need at least 2 people. By the way, since the pool is quite bulky and heavy, the basement room has an area of about 20 square meters with a height of 2.30 meters. The walls are solidly built and treated with special plaster and paint for damp rooms. The floor is tiled, which proved to be an advantage, especially when draining the pool, since the basement has no heating of its own and is perfectly insulated by the approximately 60 to 80 centimeter thick walls. The room climate remains relatively constant in winter at around 10 degrees and in summer up to 15 degrees. However, this is also suboptimal for operating a hot tub. Keyword: condensation and mold. A problem with Mold, however, did not occur for us, even though I would have expected it, especially in winter. We heated the room up to about 20 degrees with our plate infrared heater before use, and aired out the room thoroughly after using the spa. Nevertheless, you should be aware that the pool at 38 degrees water temperature produces quite a bit of water vapor due to evaporation. This moisture must be removed or compensated for, otherwise mold growth is inevitable. A very important metric for us when purchasing the pool was the expected electricity consumption. The pool holds 650 liters of water, which need to be cleaned and heated. The bubble function of the whirlpool is, of course, a must. All of this consumes electricity. As already mentioned, the power supply is provided via a 220-volt Schuko plug with integrated short-circuit protection. With a maximum power consumption of 2.1 to 2.2 kilowatts, which covers the pump, the heater and the bubble function at the same time, the pool is connected to a circuit with a 16 amp fuse and a 30 milliamp residual current circuit breaker. During the entire period of use, there were absolutely no technical problems. The performance data of the electronic components are as follows on paper. The pump consumes 35 watts in filter mode, the heater 1.5 kilowatts, and the bubble function consumes another 600 watts, while the heater and bubbles can be switched on and off manually via the wired remote control. The filter mode is practically always active. As long as the power is on, the water is pumped through the filter for 1 hour every 4 hours to ensure water quality. Using a power meter, it was possible. I measured an average of 1420 to 1450 watts for the heating function. The bubble function draws 637 watts from the socket and the filter function uses 29 watts. Overall, the MSpa Alpine Whirlpool is therefore more energy efficient than officially stated. So how does this affect ongoing operation over a longer period of time? For this, I conducted 4 test series. Were recorded 2 test series in heating mode and 2 test series in standby filter mode. A 5th test series was intended to measure the consumption when maintaining the temperature. Even though we get our electricity from a PV system, I am assuming an electricity price of 30 cents to ensure comparability. The room temperature was always between 10 and 12 degrees Celsius. The first test series, 125 hours of operation with a total consumption of 0.869 kilowatt hours, which corresponds to 0.007 kilowatts per hour. In the second test series, the setup ran for 212 hours with a total consumption of 1.383 kilowatt hours. This also corresponds to a consumption of 0.007 kilowatts per hour. The pump runs for 1 hour every 4 hours to circulate the water through the filter. The costs would therefore amount to 5 cents per day or €1.50 per month. Since a water fill up here is charged at about €4, which corresponds to a price of €6 per cubic meter of tap water, it can actually be cheaper to continue filtering the water, instead of emptying and refilling the pool. Second test series, heating the pool water from 11 degrees to the desired temperature of 38 degrees. With a runtime of 19 hours, the total energy consumption was 25.861 kilowatt hours. This in turn would be 1.361 kilowatts per hour. In a second test run, the whole process took 14 hours with a total consumption of 21.985 kilowatt hours, which corresponds to a consumption of 1.57 kilowatts per hour. Due to the long heating times, I was not able to stop the measurement exactly when the water temperature reached 38 degrees. In both values, the consumption values for the filtration function and for maintaining the temperature after it was reached are also included. In practice, however, this is secondary, since the calculation is about the actual costs incurred. The cost per heating cycle is therefore between 6 and 8 euros. I ran the pool for 25 hours and set the temperature in automatic mode to 38 degrees. The total consumption was 7.733 kilowatt hours, which corresponds to 0.309 kilowatts per hour. At a room temperature of about 12 degrees, the inflatable hot tub loses about 10 degrees Celsius per day. Once the pool has been heated up to 38 degrees, the electricity costs are about €2.30 per day to maintain the temperature. Since the heating is regulated automatically, it can definitely make sense on planned bathing days to keep the pool at 38 degrees permanently. Especially during the winter months, we use the pool every weekend. The water was heated up the day before. The electricity costs therefore amounted to just under 10 euros per week or 40 euros per month. In addition to the electricity costs, keeping the water clean naturally incurs further expenses. Besides the pure water costs, there are also the expenses for water treatment. For our setup, I calculate with our water supplier at 6 euros per cubic meter of tap water. This includes fresh water, wastewater, rainwater fee and basic charge. So one fill of 650 liters costs me just under 4 euros. When the pool was set up in the garden, the water was significantly dirtier and a water change was therefore needed more often. If the pool is only used as an expensive paddling pool, then a water change once a month is probably sufficient. But if you want to relax in a spa, whirlpool or hot tub and value clean water, you can't avoid changing the water regularly. In my experience, however, the intervals between water changes can be significantly extended by taking a thorough shower before getting into the pool. Furthermore, the use of sunscreen, skin protection products or care oils should be avoided. The cartridge filter was not able to remove the oily film from care creams on the water surface. When the bubble function is activated, a coarse foam then forms on the water. It gets even worse if you have showered with shampoo or shower gel before bathing, by the way. Water purification is primarily done by the cartridge filter. This filters the reliably from the water. However, it is not able to filter dirt from the water surface, because the suction is simply much too weak for that. The filter can be easily removed. I rinsed it regularly under hot water. At some point, however, a replacement filter will be necessary. Behind the cartridge filter, there is also a coarse screen in the wall of the inflatable pool. In the case of during my monthly cleaning, I was also able to remove some hairs here, so the cartridge filter does not work 100% reliably. By the way, I would like to mention at this point that my initial concerns about the design and position of the filter were not confirmed. The filter extends about 10 centimeters into the pool. So far, it has not been knocked off even once while swimming. In addition to the filter, I also use chlorine tablets for water treatment. At first, I put a 200-gram multi-tablet from the large pool into a floating chlorine dispenser. Despite the smallest setting, I had to remove the tablet after 2 days because the smell of fresh chlorine in the water was clearly noticeable. Therefore, I switched to 20-gram multi-tablets. I also left these in the dispenser at the lowest setting in the pool. Thanks to the regular circulation of the water, the chlorine was well distributed and I did not notice any bleaching in the pool, even though the dispenser tended to stay in the right corner next to the filter outlet. When using the inflatable hot tub in the basement, I was also able to use the 20-gram multi-taps without noticing any swimming pool odors in the spa area. The water quality was consistently good. By the way, now would be the perfect time to give a like and hit the subscribe button if you enjoyed my video. Also, take a look under the video in the description. There you'll find links to the products I use myself and of course also for the pool and the materials I show you here in the video. Now I'd like to share some practical experiences with the inflatable whirlpool. The whirlpool works perfectly. The bubble bath provides optimal relaxation at a water temperature of 38 degrees. The maximum heating capacity is specified as 42 degrees Celsius, which, according to the integrated thermometer, we actually managed to reach. To further enhance the spa experience, you can use various accessories. In addition to neck supports for the wall, there are also drink holders and special radios. Due to our space, we don't need a radio or a drink holder. However, the neck support was initially planned, but after a few baths it became clear that a separate neck support wasn't necessary at all. When lying in the corner, you can comfortably rest your head on the edge of the pool, even with my height of 185 centimeters. To make the floor under the pool softer, we laid down a floor mat. Although the pool's bottom area is a bit thicker, the additional mats greatly increase comfort. You should be aware that this pool requires a permanent setting location. Due to its size and weight, the pool is quite bulky and heavy. Regularly setting up and taking down the pool is therefore not very practical. Over time, the inflatable hot tub loses air, the walls sag down, and when you touch them, you can clearly feel the loss of pressure. Nevertheless, the pool retains its shape and there was no accident. Thanks to the integrated inflation function, the hot tub can be reinflated in no time. Still, you should regularly check the air pressure to make sure everything is working as it should. Changing the water, however, has proven to be a little bit more complicated than expected. The pool has a drain at the bottom, which is secured by a simple plug. The other end of the drain is located under the pool's technical wall and is secured by a screw cap. This area is relatively well integrated into its surroundings and is only accessible with considerable difficulty. When I tried to unscrew the tightly fastened cap, it was very difficult for me and my large hands to access this spot. As soon as the cap is removed, a supplied adapter for the Gardena quick connector system can be screwed on. This makes it very easy to connect a garden hose to the pool. However, due to the tight access, you should definitely make sure that the coupling is securely connected. Otherwise, some of the water will flow directly past the pool onto the ground. I directed the hose straight into the drain. This way, the old water from the pool can drain down to a water level of 2 to 3 centimeters. Unfortunately, the fixed plug on the inside regularly settles over the drain during this process. This massively delayed the drainage. Even emptying the last 2 to 3 centimeters is not easy. I lifted the pool on the opposite side and was able to lower the water level to under 1 centimeter each time. In the garden, we simply turned the pool over and it could dry out completely. In the basement, this is not possible. Here, the remaining water and dirt can only be wiped out. To refill the pool with water, the hose can be hung directly over the edge of the pool or connected via the drain. I ultimately chose the second option since the hose was already installed. If you connect the hose directly here, please make sure that in the area of the cap you pay attention, because in that area of the cap up to the inside at the closure there is water. If I open this cap, even with the closure in the pool closed, some water will leak out. Not much, but it can be annoying. Now, at this point, I'll move on to the conclusion and the end of this video. The pool, as we have discussed throughout, does its job just as we expected it would. The energy and water costs are actually a bit lower than we had originally planned for, which is a pleasant surprise. In summary, everything has worked out well and the results have met or even slightly exceeded our initial expectations. I wouldn't use the pool permanently in the garden since we have a large pool and the amount of dirt that gets into this small whirlpool shouldn't be underestimated. But for the spa area in the basement, it's a perfect fit. However, you should definitely pay attention to having a suitable ventilation concept, because water loss, that is water vapor, especially when using the bubble function, should not be underestimated. The only thing I don't like 100% is the filter. The cartridge cleans the water reliably, but the pool lacks the suction power to draw surface debris into the filter as well. As a result, dirt particles float on the surface and on the pool floor, while the center is very clean. Based on my experience with our sand filter system, which, by the way, I operate with filter glass, I am a bit disappointed in this regard. If there had been enough space in the basement, an inflatable pool with an external sand filter might have been the better choice. So there remains a minimal shortcoming, but one we can live with quite well. What are your experiences? Do you also use an inflatable hot tub in the basement? How are the costs for you? Write me a comment under this video and give me some feedback on my video. If you want to know more, also write it in the comments. Don't forget to give me a like if you enjoyed this video. And of course, I would be happy if you subscribe to my channel. Check the description below there. I've linked the products I use for you. Purchasing them won't cost you anything extra, but it helps me to support my channel. Thank you for watching, and I'm already looking forward to next time. Until then, bye.